off my crown.
Hey, young man, how are you?
How are you, Michael?
Doing great, man.
So,
it's also in YouTube Live.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be automatically recorded there. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead. Okay, Barry's calling me, okay, so our countdown is gone? Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the room now. Good afternoon, good evening. Okay.
Hi, Michael.
Hi there, how are you doing? Good evening, and just welcome. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
great. So your image is turned sideways, so you might need to turn your phone a different angle.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, just rotate it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's upload it.
So I'd like to welcome Trevino is in the house, and we have, and Barry, if you would be so kind to monitor the folks coming in so that we can go ahead and let them in. Looks like you've let some people in already, and we're going to be able to get our program started here. We have just a couple of minutes, actually just about another minute or so to get rolling. Just a tremendous opportunity here to welcome you to the Natural Health Learn and Share Meetup,
Okay.
an outreach ministry of Downers Grove. And we're going to roll through the presentation. We'll have an opportunity for you to ask questions closer to the end of the program. It's please have a sheet of paper handy or some way to take notes. Please also pay close attention to the presenters, because they'll be sharing some of their own experiences, and you may want to ask them a question later. Feel free to go ahead and jot those questions down, and closer to the end, we'll have an opportunity to have you ask the presenters and get the answers that you might be looking for. I'd like to welcome you all, and looks like we still have a few people coming in. We'll give it another minute or so. And let's see, I want to just check and see who's here. Glenda King, how are you doing? So good to see you again.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well, good. And, glad that you're able to make it. And Trevino, let's see, this is your first time here, Trevino's? At least that's the name I see on the screen here.
That's correct.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. How did you hear about us?
The Fredericks.
Oh, fantastic.
Ran.
Okay, good job. All right, fantastic. All right, so then we'll get rolling here in just a moment. Looks like we have everything rolling nicely here with our sound, and everything's good. All right, so we have a tremendous opportunity, folks, tonight to welcome you officially to the first Natural Health Learn and Share Meetup of Downers Grove. It's an outreach ministry of the All Nations Fellowship Church, and this is the first one for 2022. We are just really excited to be in this phase of our program, because as our team has been planning and presenting, we really take a very close look at natural health from a scientific perspective, and we also use our experiences and our anecdotes to supplement what we do and how we do them. And so we're going to be sharing some science tonight. We're going to be sharing some of our personal experiences, and we're going to allow you the opportunity to ask questions at the end. However, please note that this is strictly informational. We are not in the business of prescribing or diagnosing in any way. And I just want you to know that our mission is teaching health optimization strategies. These are things that we have found to work very well for the great majority of health concerns. The 8 laws of natural health combined with solid scientific research, and we teach these items and we are just really happy to share them with you. There's no charge for being here. And we do want you to pass this information on. It's very important that you have that opportunity to pass the information on to help others based on what we teach and what you learn and what you apply for your own life. We also want you to know that, just as we say here, nothing here is to be considered as medical treatment. This is not our intent. Again, it's purely informational. We also have a stay connected opportunity. So there is a Facebook group just attached to this. There's also the Natural Health Learn and Share Meetup of Downers Grove. And we also have the opportunity for people to ask for prayer. We believe in prayer, and we know that many times the solutions that we're looking for, even though they're natural and they're good, and sometimes there's so many options. Which one is the right one? And so we use prayer for just about every one of our clients and our coachees to be able to get wisdom from the God above. And so I'll be putting this link here in just a minute. In fact, let me see if I can go grab that really quickly here. And I'll put that in our chat window right now. That is going to be the ability for you to stay connected even after this session today. I'll put this in chat for you. This is going to give you the page that you're looking at on the screen right now. It will give you a page exactly like that with the live links so that you have the ability to either join the Facebook group, join our Natural Health Meetup group, do a prayer request, and or just contact someone if you might be interested in discussing more personally any particular health concerns that you have. And this will be a way that you stay connected with us. Please also know that I already mentioned this, but just to remind you, we'll have questions at the end. But feel free during the presentations to put questions in the chat window, because we have people looking for those. And if you do put a question in the chat window, that will give us an opportunity to prepare ahead of time just to be able to answer those questions. And let's see, Okay, here we go. So these are our presenters tonight. Dr. Al Bacchus, Don Hall, Dr. Danny Frederick, Stephen Kolodkse, Serena Scott, and myself, Dale Campbell. And the topic tonight is colon health after the holiday. We just went through Christmas and New Year's, and many times the things that we really wanted to do, we didn't. We committed some sins, some dietary sins, and we want to make them right. And so to tame it, to rebalance it, to make it move, please help. And so we're here tonight to really discuss the ins and outs of colon health, what really is involved with that. These are our presenters. And I am going to now go ahead and offer a word of prayer to get this started. So shall we bow our heads? Dear God, we're just thankful that we have this incredible opportunity to be here tonight to share just some nuggets, lifestyle nuggets that help us to be healthier today than we were yesterday. We want, Lord, to learn those things that apply to each one of us individually and also those things collectively that will help us to be sharp mentally, to have more energy, to have a life without illness and without the challenges of pain, etc. And we just thank the Lord that you've provided so many of these resources to us, and we can almost exhaust our time each and every day continuing to learn. Please bless this time. May each person attending here receive a blessing and become more healthy as a result. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So this is going to be our agenda, pretty much. These are the presenters, and we'll be working through the anatomy and physiology. We'll be taking a look at the normal colon. We'll take a look at the colon that is compromised. We'll also look at solutions based on scientific research, the data that's been established, as well as experience. We'll also have an opportunity with Serena to take a look at herbal infusions and solutions for colon health. We have a presenter who's going to do, I won't say what it is right now, but it's really, really cool. It's a food prep demo for the colon. And we have another recipe that will be shared with us by Al. Stephen's going to give us a little bit of his experience in restoring his colon health over the last week to 10 days. And Dr. Danny is going to be sharing with us some of the analogies that we can derive for our wellness of the soul. And here we are then right at the point where we'll be getting questions and giving answers. And we'll close with prayer at the end with Don. So that's pretty much our outline for today. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you just a little bit of the 8 channels of elimination. And if you look closely at this slide, I don't know if it's big enough for you to see the print at the upper left corner here. It says the body's 7 channels of elimination, but I'm saying they're actually 8. They missed one on this sheet. But I loved this particular graphic because it really does help us to see how our bodies are designed, not just to take things in and get things out, but almost every part of the body from head to toe is covered in skin. We have the lungs inside. Of course, we have the large intestine. This is our main focus tonight, but the liver and the kidneys, those are also part of this whole process of elimination and detoxification. And if you can even think about, even your cars, folks, even your cars have an exhaust, all right? So they're running, the engine is turning and it's getting your car to move. It's propelling the car forward or backwards as you might need. But even as it is running, something is happening that requires an exhaust to be taken care of. And it's the same way with the human body. You do want to be able to remove the toxins that are building up just because we were alive. And then on top of that, in our current environment, we have toxins in the air, we have toxins in our water supply, we have toxins that are being sprayed on our food, albeit just in tiny amounts that are supposedly not going to harm us for 40 or 50 years. But as we get older, the toll takes its place. And there's one missing from this diagram. Can anybody tell me, let's see, there are only 7 channels listed here. Which one is missing? Can anybody tell? Anybody want to take a guess? Just unmute or put it in chat. I'll check the chat if you put it in there. Okay, I don't hear anybody. Okay, nobody wants to venture to take a guess. All right, well, let's see. We're going to put it on the screen for you. These are 7 channels, and we're going to now, the eye is also one, and the lacrimal gland helps to remove urea. Yes, urea is the correct word, from the eyes, and we'll discuss that in an upcoming session, specifically addressing how to treat our eyes to improve the elimination of toxins through our eyes. But these are the 8 channels of elimination, and just really important that we understand how to optimize that. and to make it work. So our goal for the next few months is to cover every single one of these 8 channels of elimination. And we're starting tonight with the colon. The colon is, of course, the large intestine, and it really is designed to take care of a lot of the elimination and the detoxification in our body. We have the pleasure of having a diagram here. The normal bowel and the constipated bowel is the one that we chose to share with you tonight. And we're going to be starting out our next section with Dr. Bacchus, the normal bowel. We'll see, what is that supposed to look like? How is it supposed to work? And what is it really doing? And so then I'll follow up with some of the challenges around a compromised colon, and we'll follow the sequence as we outlined in just a few minutes ago. So, the healthy colon, anatomy and physiology. I am going to stop sharing so that you can share your screen over there if you need to have one. And so there it is. We are now going to take a look. Dr. Al, you can share your screen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Al Bacchus, and I'm coming to you from Martinsburg, West Virginia. And my background briefly, college teaching for 30-something years. I started out in the biology department at Columbia Union College. My major courses to teach there were anatomy and physiology for nursing and allied health students. So this takes me back to the classroom, and I'm happy to be with you. Thanks, Michael, for inviting me into this forum, and looking forward to continuing throughout this coming year. So I do the normal anatomy and physiology. Michael will pick up on some of the diseases and abnormal things in the colon. So my goal is to present these contents, a very brief overview of the normal anatomy. The physiology of the colon is quite simple. It's mainly for reabsorption of water and electrolytes, sodium, potassium mainly, and then the elimination of waste. So tonight, in about 7 to 10 minutes, I'll go through transit time through the colon and compare to the rest of the system. Motility, the motions that have to occur for it to fulfill its functions. Then the bacterial content of the colon and their functions. The process of elimination is helped by natural lubrication and the cellular renewal. And then a couple recent discoveries, and then I'd leave it open to question. So the anatomy and normal physiology, let's pick it up with this picture here. You know, everything you need to do these days, you can find very good illustrations and videos on the internet. It's just amazing. Everything is there. So very briefly, we see the colon here, and the small intestine, this ending portion of the small intestine is the ileum right here, and that connects into the colon at the ileocecal valve. This first area is called the cecum, and then movement of contents occur in this direction. So here's the ascending colon and the hepatic flexure at this bend, the transverse colon, the descending colon, sigmoid colon, and the rectum and the anal canal. So basically that's your anatomy, and you can ignore all the rest of that's on the slide, and there will be no quiz at the end. So just relax and review what most of you already know and have studied in depth. Just want to bring your attention to these folds here in the structure of this pipe. These are referred to as hostra, and there is movement going sideways in these hostra as mother movement goes forward in that direction towards the exit. Okay, let's, the blood flow and nerve supply are shown here. I like this diagram very much because of that. So let's go back to now the physiology, and we'd do the slideshow from the current slide. Okay, so this is our goal here. We'd go next to the transit time. And I add a reference that I believe is credible, reliable reference for all these. Transit time through the whole digestive system. 50% of the stomach contents are emptied in 2.5 to 3 hours. And of course, the rate of emptying goes along with the nature, the chemical, composition of the food and the amount of liquids that accompany that. Total emptying of the stomach occurs in 4 to 5 hours. 50% of emptying of the small intestine in 2.5 to 3 hours, and transit through the colon. Here is the big time factor, 30 to 40 hours. Of course, a lot of the studies that went into calculating these times were dependent on the composition of the meal. And back in the 1960s and 1980s, when this was very popular research, they used to use a meal consisting of 3 hot dogs, mashed potato, and baked beans. And then they would put tracers in that and see when they show up, in the feces. So these times are very highly variable and would depend on the plant content versus animal sources content in the meal. For motility or movement, we have peristalsis, which is really a push from behind. So as the bolus moves into these, into the colon, the anterior part would relax, and behind the bolus, there would be a contraction and would move things along. In the hostra, there is shuttling side to side, kind of shaking contents around to break things up and expose surface area of the content and extract water. The mass movement, which is a longer segment of the colon, the contents would move along at the same time. And this would be especially when the signal comes in from the stomach and upper small intestine that there is more contents coming through. So you need to make room and push ahead towards elimination. So that's the mass movement. Then elimination is controlled by the internal and external anal sphincters. And the internal sphincter consists of smooth muscle. So that's under involuntary control, signaled by nerves and chemical contents of the contents coming through. The external anal sphincter is skeletal muscle. So that's under voluntary control. Very lucky for the design there that we have conscious control and to a major extent. And then of course, infants will develop that control. And then again, at the other end of this life spectrum, you may lose that control. But it's a very, very present blessing throughout most of life. But the bacterial content of the colon, the source is a textbook of bacteriology. The first four here, the Faecalibacterium, Lactobacilli, Bifidobacteria, and Streptococcus, especially the species Thermophilus. These are kind of common and prevalent in what we now call the probiotics that we make. So they're the good bacteria. And then the Bacteroides, Escherichia coli, or E. coli. And of course, whenever you test the environment or water or food source and there is E. coli present, that signals fecal contamination. That's a standard worldwide accepted test for fecal contamination. Clostridium species, Salmonella, Klebsiella, Proteus, Pseudomonas, these are normal, but they can go bad. And over-flourishing of these species can cause major problems, diarrhea, and other signs of malfunction. The functions of the bacteria in the colon, the good bacteria helps to keep the bad bacteria in check. So there has to be a balance. And if we're not feeding the good bacteria or adding through probiotics, then the bad guys can take over. And one example of that is the Clostridium difficile. That flourishes when antibiotics would kill off a good portion of the protective bacteria. Bacteria produce acids that discourage growth of yeast and fungus. All the food we eat, they are microscopic, invisible sources of molds and yeast and fungus, and those must be taken care of through the stomach acids and then through the bacteria in the large intestine. Some of the bacteria, they synthesize some B vitamins and K vitamins. And then there is the breakdown of indigestible material. The fiber cellulose are broken down into short chain fatty acids, releasing methane and hydrogen sulfide, major contents of the gases that can be expelled and that can become a problem and a sign of something not right. Probiotics, I just came across this source here from the NIH, what you need to know, and I think one of our other speakers would be addressing probiotics. So as far as moving things along smoothly, there is lubrication from water that's left there. There's lubrication from mucus produced by goblet cells in the intestinal glands. And the outer layer of the mucosal cells, that's the lining of the lumen of the tube, sloughs off and are renewed. Those cells are renewed about every 4 to 6 days. So one of the cautions in health of the colon is avoid the use of harsh laxatives and frequent enemas. As far as new discoveries, two things came up in my search. One is the potential for enriching next generation health promoting gut bacteria through prebiotics and other dietary components. And this paper talks about newly identified health-associated bacteria, such as the Faecalibacterium and Akkermansia and Ruminococcus and Roseburia, and they're coming up with new names and new species all the time. I think this would be a prolific area of continuing studies. Another new sharing came through the journal Nature, and that's about the dietary sugar trehalose, that it enhances virulence of epidemic Clostridium difficile. And I think that's about all I have to share. But this sharing reminds me of the two hardest questions I've gotten from my students over the years of teaching anatomy and physiology. And these two questions were, number one, before sin, did Adam and Eve defecate in the Garden of Eden? And of course, that triggered a whole lot of speculation about normal physiology before and after sin. The next question, which was tough for me to answer, and had to do the research and refer the students to other experts. If the anal canal and rectum are holding sites for feces, how can that become attractive for use in sexual activity? That was a whole different discussion and to different experts. So Michael, thank you very much. I hope I stayed within my time limit there, and it's over to you.
All right, thank you so very much. That was really, well, the last two questions especially, but and also the new research is also quite interesting with trehalose being so negatively favorable to the human body. And so, yeah, that's really an alert for us, those of us who are on the line tonight. That's really an alert to know that many of these new things, new products, new things that are being produced and extracted, we really want to have them studied and know what those studies actually say before we make our decisions. So thank you very much. Yes, go ahead.
And trehalose, Michael, is present in ice cream, a lot of food products, and medicines. It's the sweetener in a lot of our medicines.
Wow. So the medicines that are supposed to help us get better, right? Yeah, wow. So we want to thank Al for sharing with us the healthy colon, anatomy and physiology, and giving us insights into some of the things that are new. The section that we're going to take a look at next is the compromised colon, causes, concerns, considerations. And have a few pages and a few links in here that I think will be helpful. There's an article that identified the pathophysiology of chronic constipation. It's, of course, at pubmed.gov, and we'll take a look at that to see what we can find out here. We have quite a long article, but a lot of this has been covered before. Let's see if I put some highlights on here, and maybe I lost them, but let's see. Yep, I think I lost the highlights that I had in here, so we'll have to figure out what it was that I was really going to say about this article. But I think down here, you're going to see some of the, this table 1, for example, down here, and there's primary constipation and secondary. Primary forms of constipation arise from intrinsic defects in the colon function or the malfunction of the defecation process. And if you take a look down here at the table, you will see that secondary causes are medications, sometimes disease. You will find neurological causes, maybe just even metabolic relating to the thyroid. And then we have systemic and psychiatric. So there are a huge range of secondary causes for blockages or for difficult defecation. And these are usually cleared up first before they look into the primary causes. And then, of course, we wanted to also highlight the fact that there are sensations. As Al mentioned, there are nerves that are feeding this. And sometimes it could be a function where the nerves are not really working very well. And that could be the cause of the slow transit, could also be the cause of difficult defecation or defecation disorders. Let's see here. So yeah, pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor may be an issue, right? And frequently laxatives are highly effective in these kinds of defecation disorders. Even though the stool even though you may have sufficient hydration, even though you have enough liquid in the large intestine, you may feel the urge to go, but sometimes the pelvic floor tone is just not enough for those involuntary muscles that you can actually control. And so those are some of the causes that are showing up in the pathophysiology of constipation. Now we're going to switch gears. I'm going to go back and get my next item here. And these are side effects of constipation, and these are top 10. And this was really done very nicely. The Gut Health Clinic, just an amazing array of information in here that we're going to highlight just a few items. We already looked at what constipation is. It's just slow movement, or it's a blockage, or it's some nerve problem, some muscular problem. But this is the frequency that we're finding, that there are so many people, and the range that we're seeing is somewhere between 12 to 30% of the population in the United States, and especially in developed countries, that are suffering from constipation. And this is an interesting set of pictures here. So we have type 1. This is the slow transit condition. And then we have the rapid transit condition, which is just watery, no solid pieces at all. We have, of course, separate hard lumps, then sausage-like, but very lumpy. And you can see the descriptions as we go through here, the different types. And this is actually a stool scale for the formation of stool. It's actually a scale that's actually used to measure. And so—
I can't see anything.
Oh,
I can't see any of your points.
Let's see if
Am
I
I
can—
supposed to?
Let me see. Yes, you are. Let me do that again. Is that better? No? Let me try that again. I think I may have hit the wrong thing when I shared the screen.
You just had it.
I just had it? Okay, good. All right, so there we go. Thank you. Thank you, Sally. All right, so this is, of course, then the different forms using the Bristol Stool Form Scale. And you can see, of course, then that we want to be somewhere, in the middle, and smooth and soft, looking like a snake, and well-formed. And most cases, floating is good. Depends on what you've actually eaten, that will determine whether or not it floats or not. But this is the part I think that we really want to get to. And because as I was looking through this, I realized that there's really a controversy about this. There are actually some people that really believe that there is no problem with constipation. It doesn't cause anything. There are no toxins developed. There's nothing really happening that's serious. But at the same time, they talk a bit about, making the bacteria healthy and so on, so you can have the immune system restored. And they actually point to the fact that when the colon is constricted and is compromised, that the immune system is, of course, compromised as well. But even when they say that, they still say that there is no reason to worry about constipation. So I'm not going to share with you any of those sites because we know better. But here is, and Al already discussed the functions of the colon, but toxin reabsorption in the colon is one of the problems with constipation. So what are the things specifically that you can even think about? One of the items is excess hormones that are found in the colon. And if they are not excreted or evacuated from the bowel, then they will, of course, be reabsorbed. And those are toxic to the body. And imbalance of intestinal flora. So we have those healthy bacteria that Al just talked about. And what will happen is that the healthy bacteria will be overgrown by the unwanted bacteria. And that's actually causes the constipation, but the constipation also exacerbates that. And then we have structural and physical defects of large, hard stools that straining that commonly accompanies them. And sometimes, just that straining alone can cause other side effects. So here are the effects of constipation on fatigue. All right, constipation and fatigue go in hand. So one of the things that I know in my personal life is that if I do need to go to the bathroom to defecate, I will feel a little sluggish. My energy level is going to be a little lower. And what I do know is that a few minutes after defecating, I feel refreshed. I feel that my energy is back. And so I know that even in my personal experience, I can see this. Also, one of the things of constipation, and I remember reading several years ago that the toxins that are in the body, the fat molecules tend to absorb or surround them. And that's one of the reasons why many people who are attempting to lose weight but not cleaning out the colon, they continue gaining weight even so. And so that's one of the key issues here. Then what is it also on the skin? You see blotches on the skin. You see 54% of acne patients have significantly altered gut flora, while probiotics have also been shown to reduce the symptoms. So constipation, since it destroys the healthy bacteria, then you can see why it would also have effects on the skin. Then we have small intestine bacterial overgrowth. So even now, going back just a little bit into the small intestine, this is one of the highest risk factors and the most common cause of this bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine. Small intestine is where a lot of our nutrients are digested and completing the digestive process, and then also absorbed into the blood. Now, if we have intestinal bacterial overgrowth, you can also see why the health of that individual would be severely compromised. Thinning hair, brittle nails, all right? Effects of constipation and poor immunity. Oh my goodness, we talked a lot about that already, but you guys remember from previous workshops that we've had that is the key to monitor, and toxic buildup and inflammation associated with constipation can also impair.
Yo quiero mi quinoa, yo quiero...
Por favor, que apague el micrófono. Yeah, and so the toxic buildup and inflammation impairs the immune system and leaves you vulnerable to infections like UTIs, like urinary tract infection. And, in the time of COVID, we really do not want to have our immune system compromised. Estrogen dominance, just an amazing correlation here. Structural conditions. One of the things that I've noticed in our experience as a family and even with clients that we have is sometimes a neck pain, sometimes a backache, sometimes knee pain are the results of inflammation. And once we start cleaning the colon, getting it to work normally on schedule, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But guess what, guys? Those pains go away. Yeah, they disappear. It's like, wait, what happened to that pain? I don't have it anymore. And yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? But many cases, you will find that the pressures between joints or the pinching of a nerve and those kinds of things are greatly alleviated when the colon is clean. And then the constipation of fecal impaction. This is where the poop is hardened in the colon and it's a solid blockage, just severe problems resulting from that. And then this is the one that really surprised me. Effect of constipation on anxiety and depression. And, you know, it's just showing up here that sometimes we want to start even in the mental health world to take a look at the colon and determine, do we have a healthy colon or not? And you can see the research references in here. This is the reason we use this. The references down at the bottom of this article are quite a few here, and they're all based on research that's been done. So here's a summary of the side effects of constipation. You can see that there's quite a bit here. So if you are having any kind of health concern that may be associated with any one of these things, please just know that one of the key things to do is to start with cleaning up the colon, just really taking a look at what that might look like. So let's examine a couple of these that might be helpful. This is a very interesting research that I did today, because I've been using this product for, I want to say 30 years. Magnesia phosphorica. We used to use it with the kids when they were young. And they would have a stomach pain, or they would be a little bit constipated or whatever. And it is a homeopathic remedy. It comes in little pellets, and they're little white pellets that dissolve under the tongue very quickly. You can also add them to water, typically warm or tepid water, and let them dissolve and then sip the water. But I wanted to show you what that actually looks like, you know, on the marketplace. So this is one Magnesia phosphorica. This is a product that, and it comes in this format by Highlands as well. But just so that you would know, they're not expensive. And this is the homeopathic research is very easily found. Pain, but it also has another very significant piece of information down here. And this is one of the things that we found that I wasn't aware of before. And let's see if this comes up. Yep, here it is. If you look through this, you will notice that rectum prolapse. So this is the Magnesia phosphorica, right? So this is one of those remedies that really helps with the muscular control down in the lower, close to the exit of the large intestine. Stomach pain, stomach cancer. Let's see, there was another one in here that I had highlighted, and again, I've lost my highlights here. Cramps, stomach cramps. And sciatica, there we go. Yeah, sciatica is another big one. Yeah. Toothache is another one that's here. So please know that these homeopathic remedies, if you can really dig deep and don't just go on the surface, because if you notice the characteristics, see how it starts here? It's very lengthy for just this one. And it actually says, if you see the pains were shifting better by rest, but worse at night, you have to really dig deep into the symptomatology that you're experiencing so that you can understand which one of these specifically to select. And there's several of them. There are basic 12, and those 12 go along with the acupuncture meridians. And so they have very similar impact, but beyond the 12, there are, I have no idea how many. But this is one of the 12, the Magnesia phosphorica, and definitely does help. And I'm going to go back here because we have another one that you should find interesting. Thyme. We did this at one of our meetups maybe a couple of years ago. We actually created or made our own Listerine, because one of the main items in Listerine is thyme. That is the active ingredient, thymol. Well, I know I just recently recommended thyme to a few people who happened to be on this call, and they had some interesting results, but I didn't know exactly why it worked until I did this research. And so, yeah, so it's antimicrobial activity of oregano, basil, oregano, and thyme essential oils. And Steve is going to share with us a little bit later his experience with thyme. But am amazed that as simple as these herbs are, and as often as we use them in cooking and seasoning, that they have antimicrobial impact. Yes, and in the stomach, not only antibacterial, but antifungal, antiparasitic. And it's just amazing that when you use thyme, now the way we used to use it with the kids when they were teenagers and they got a stomach ache, that was really, really interesting because it doesn't, it's astringent, right? It's got a powerful taste to it. And so if you were to take the herb, like a teaspoon worth of it, and chew it up in your mouth and extract all the juices from it, when you do that, within a matter of, I don't know, 5 minutes, in a matter of seconds, because the future is saying in a few seconds, but let's give it a minute or two, the pain would be gone from your stomach. But the thing that, it's antimicrobial activity that's really doing that. And so when we have any of those crises in our gastrointestinal system, and there seems to be turmoil going on from bacteria or some upset, please know that thyme is a great resource to have on hand. It's one of those things that most people have in their spice cabinet. And but you can also see that there's quite a whole lot of research done on this, and we're going to move on to the next item. So that was thyme, and now we're going to go take a look at probiotics. So we have here, this is Oregon State University, and I want to encourage all of you to really take a note of this. This is the Oregon State University. I said just you write that down. And then within the Oregon State University, you want to also write down Linus Pauling Institute, because I do know that this is one of those resources that they're about us. They're about the people. They're about making sure that the right research gets to us as consumers, as individuals who are interested in natural health. And as you look through here, you will notice that the probiotics is listed here, but their main, should I say, contribution to natural health now is in the micronutrient world. They have a tremendous amount of research done on individual micronutrients and their impact on our health. And feel free to jot that down. Oregon State University, Linus Pauling Institute, and you can take a look at all of the different options here. But probiotics is where we're going right now. And probiotics. So these are live microorganisms. I think we pretty much all know that. And they really do have overall health benefit for us. Al had already mentioned the main ones. These are two that are primarily mentioned here that are consumed in yogurt. That's the lactobacilli and the bifidobacteria species. And but here's something that you should know, that they can survive digestion transiently, and they can inhabit the lower part of the gastrointestinal tract. And here they can modulate immune functions by interacting with various receptors on intestinal epithelial cells and other associated immune cells. But Al mentioned this already, but I just wanted you to see that probiotics also need to be supplemented, or you'll see in just a minute, as Al mentioned earlier too, that prebiotics is a great way also to have the healthy bacteria multiply in our bodies. So just then moving on to our next, so this is probiotics. And we want to take another look at the term called the microbiome. That is something that is, so the microbiome is trillions of microorganisms, mainly bacteria and yeast, that inhabit your intestines and make up the microbiome. So that is where we must find ways to avoid the things that will destroy this microbiome. One of the things that I noticed here in this is that the change in the microbiome can occur very quickly, within days of changing your diet. Within days, folks. And Stephen, you and I talked a little bit about this. It was just a matter of days, right? And you were able to see a significant change in your health and the way you felt and everything But think about the power of the microbiome and the healthy bacteria, the healthy flora that are there. It's just amazing that the body can restore itself very quickly if we are willing to make the changes that are appropriate for that. And so that is, of course, there's several other things in here, but I'm going way over my time, I think. And so I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to go right to this one. This is from Harvard University. I just wanted to show you that this probiotics may ease constipation. So that's definitely something to look into. The next article that I'm going to highlight here is from the Cleveland Clinic. And they also have done extensive research on how to pick the best probiotic. But even though, you can get yogurt and you can get all these other things, they even mentioned here that you should only choose the yogurt that has had the research done on it, because they're adding starter bacterial cultures. But many of these will be destroyed just with the stomach acid. And even though the yogurt may have those wonderful, healthy bacteria, by the time it gets to the small and large intestine, it's non-existent because the stomach acids have already killed it. So check the labeling and be sure that those products, those items that you're buying, that they add extra bacteria so that it actually gets a chance to come through and have the impact that you want in the large intestine. And then there's a couple of things here that I think, yes, what is bacteria like? It's a fermentable, no, they like fermentable fiber, and Al did mention that already, so I'm going to skip over that, but I'd like you to see this list right here. Now, we don't recommend all of these things, especially wheat products, because of the genetically modified nature of wheat. But in any case, dried beans, I can make this a little bit bigger in case you need to see them. All right, but prebiotics. These are the healthy things that feed the healthy bacteria. Dried beans, other legumes, garlic, asparagus, onions, leeks, artichokes, certain ones of them, green bananas. And somewhere in here too, I'm not going to take the time to go down and find it, but the kombucha tea, the kombucha drink is also an excellent source of health, providing the healthy bacteria for our bodies. So you can see that what we've done, we've looked at some of the causes, we've looked at some of the concerns with the toxic load, and we've also looked at some of the things that you can consider as you continue your research in looking at how you might improve the health of your colon and get it up to its working to its optimum. I'm going to close my section with this thought. So many of the sites said this: one bowel movement a day is fine. In fact, some sites say 3 bowel movements a week is fine. My wife is laughing in the background. But I will tell you that the optimum health that I have had, and many people that I've worked with, they work toward getting at least 1 bowel movement for every single meal, plus 1. So if you eat 2 meals a day, then the ideal number of bowel movements without having to strain or force or anything is 3. If you have 3 meals a day, then the ideal number of bowel movements per day is 4. It's the number of meals plus 1. Now, if you have a 1-to-1, that's much better than having less than that. But please see what you can do with different foods and different items to make sure that you do have very, very active and healthy colon. So at this time, we're going to move on, and Serena is going to share with us some of the herbs and infusions and solutions for colon health.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to share with you some of the herbs that our loving Creator provided for us in nature to help us with constipation. So here we have herbs to the rescue. So, okay, one of the herbs that I want to share with you. Now, you can use these herbs, these single herbs, you can use them, or you can combine them. So, my number one herb that I like to use very much is called Cáscara Sagrada. And this herb is a very effective laxative, herbal laxative. Not only is it a laxative, but it is also a tonic for the peristaltic muscles. So meaning it will tone and strengthen the peristaltic muscles over time, that it can work on its own. So that is Cáscara Sagrada. Can everyone hear, can you hear me?
Serena, can you spell that for us, please?
Yeah, Cáscara Sagrada, that is C-A-S-C-A-R-A. And Sagrada is S-A-G-R-A-D-A. They also call it sacred bark also. Yeah. But maybe someone can type it in the chat. But it's Cáscara Sagrada.
I'm typing it in for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Michael. So yeah, so Cáscara Sagrada is a very, very excellent herb that you can use. If you just decide to use just the Cáscara Sagrada, you can make a tea. I have it right here. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of the Cáscara Sagrada to a cup of hot water, hot distilled water. Then you will just do that and just throw the water right here and just let it steep for like 30 minutes or so. And then after, you can strain it and drink it. Okay, another herb that is very good is called rhubarb. Rhubarb root is another excellent herbal laxative, and is also a tonic. And it's so safe that even young babies and young children can have it, because it creates smooth bowel movements without the cramping. So this is a very good laxative and tonic as well. Now you can combine both of them, the Cáscara and the rhubarb together. You can do equal parts and make your tea with it. Another herb that is very good to help alleviate constipation is senna. Senna is it creates intestinal contraction, which helps to expel the fecal matter. So I have senna right here. Senna is a nice tasting tea. The Cáscara and the rhubarb are a little bitter, so that's why some people prefer to do capsules instead. But senna has a very pleasant flavor. So you can make a tea with senna. Just use 1 teaspoon to a cup of hot distilled water, let it infuse, and then you can have senna. The only thing with senna is that you want to use it short term, because it can cause laxative dependence. So you don't want to use it for a very long time. Another good thing about senna is that it is antiparasitic, meaning it will destroy parasites and expel worms from the intestinal tract. So that's really good for senna. So I like to add to these herbs, I like to add like stimulating herbs like ginger and cayenne. Ginger is very good to help with cramping, with gas, with any type of bloating or stomach discomfort. So I will add ginger, and cayenne is a stimulating herb. It's very good. It's a mild laxative, and it also helps to enhance the action of the other herbs. So I am going to now do a capsule, a formula with these herbs. We have the tea, but for those that can't deal with the bitter flavor of Cáscara Sagrada and rhubarb, then we can just do some capsules. So the formula to do this colon tonic cleanser, I call it tonic cleanser, colon cleanser, you want to use 3 parts of Cáscara Sagrada. Now, you can choose what you want to be a part. A cup could be a part, a half a cup, a teaspoon, whatever you choose. So in this case, for this demonstration, a part will be a teaspoon, okay? So 3 parts of cáscara sagrada. So I'll put 3 parts of the powder, cáscara sagrada. This is 1, 2, 3. And then you want to add 1 part of rhubarb powder. So I have 1 part of the rhubarb. These herbs are really strong. I can taste them. And then you'll want to add 1 part of ginger. So do 1 part of ginger. And then I'll use a 1/4 part of cayenne. So I have a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. So I just have those together right in here and just kind of mix it. I don't know if you can see it, but you just mix these powders together. And then once they are mixed, then you can use the empty capsules. I bought this on Amazon. These are vegetarian capsules. They're empty. That's how it looks like this. You just separate them, and then you just put the powder in there. Now, I brought this little cute tool to help me fill the capsules. Now, if you're going to do a lot of capsules, then you can kind of get a capsule machine. But for single, I bought this little tool to help me fill the capsules. And this is fun making these things, you know. Okay, so I have 1 capsule of my colon cleanser tonic. So I will recommend starting out with 2, and then you can increase this as you need in order to have your 3 or 4 bowel movements per day. Some people, it functions just taking 2 after a meal. And if not, then you just take, 2 capsules after each meal. That gives you like 6 capsules a day, which is perfectly fine. These herbs are safe. They are like a food for your system. They're like a tonic, so you wouldn't overdose. It wouldn't do you any harm. So just take as many as you need to help you to get your 3 to 4 bowel movements, or, depending on how much you eat, as Michael mentioned. So yeah, so this is the way you can do it. So you can do the capsules, or you can have your tea, whichever is easier for you. And that's it.
All right. Wow. Thank you so very much. That was incredible seeing you make that capsule just like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we have capsule machines when you want to do 100 at a time or more, but just a few like that is great. Well, thank you so very much, Serena. That was awesome. And I do want, Amazon, Latita, Amazon. So folks, I realize that our time is going way, way faster than I anticipated. And so I'm going to ask for your indulgence tonight. We probably have time beyond 8:15. And so we're going to move quickly through. I think I may have been the one responsible for taking much of the time there. But our next presenter is our none other than Don Hall, who's going to give us a food prep demo. Now he's going to take a little break in the middle of that, and in the middle of that, Al is going to come in and share with us his colon encouraging breakfast. So Don, please go ahead. You feel free to share your screen.
Okay.
All right.
Share content. Oh, I don't need to share screen. I'm good.
You good? Okay.
Yeah. Well, good day, everyone. As Mr. Mike said, I'm Donald, and this evening I'm going to do a food demonstration. So we've been talking about colon and how to make our colon healthy. And one of the ways to do that is to make sure that we're consuming a lot of fiber. And I recently gave up meat, well, about a year now. But there's one, I used to love eggs. And when I gave up meat, that was like one of the things I was thinking about, like, what am I going to do about my eggs? And with a little bit of research, I realized that I was still able to enjoy the look of eggs and somewhat the taste of eggs by doing chickpeas omelet. And so tonight, that's what I'm going to be demonstrating for us. I'm going to be showing us how we could make omelet, but do it in a way that coming from plants, plant-based, which has a lot of fiber and which will also aid in our colon health. So tonight, we're going to be showing you how I make my chickpeas flour. And this is my grinder right here. So I'm just going to grind this away just to demonstrate how I make my chickpeas flour.
You don't have to worry if you don't want.
Video.
I see that he put himself on mute, so we didn't get the sound.
Yeah, I sure did. So this is my chickpeas that was in, and it has completely, it has now become flour. So that's how I grind my chickpeas. So I don't have to think about buying chickpeas flour, just buy regular chickpeas and turn it into flour myself. So for this recipe, we use chickpeas, we use nutritional yeast, we use flax seeds, which is also a very good source of fiber as well. We use garlic powder, a little bit of cayenne pepper, and a little bit of salt, and that's it. So I pre-pack it, pre-plan mine, and this is the bottle I have it in, and I basically have one this for every day because I basically do this every day. I find it has a good source of, fiber. So when I do have this, I'm like full for like the next 3 hours until I have a bowel movement. So yeah, so I'm going to demonstrate this to you tonight. So what I do, I put this in my blender. We could have done this in like a regular container and put the water part to it, but just to make sure that we get the proper smoothness from this, I'm going to put it in the blender and have it blend away. So I'm going to put, this is 1/3 water, so I'm going to put 2 of this, 2 1/3 of water, 1, 2, mixture. And I'm going to bring this to mix. Okay, so that's mixed. So what I'm going to do in the meanwhile is that I'm going to be, for the omelet, I'm going to be, you know how you make omelet and you have, like, you fold it, you put vegetables in between? For this one, I'm using kale and onions. So I've already pre-chopped the kale and the onions. So I'm going to put it in my pot here. So I'm putting it in without oil. So it's going to be forming its own liquid to bring this to a quick steam. So the fire is on low to medium. And what I do at this point, I test my pot to make sure it's warm enough. And then my mixture of my chickpeas and flaxseed and nutritional yeast, I pour it in. And I allow this to cook for about 4 minutes. So I'm gonna put my timer for 4 minutes on my stove. And then you guys will be able to see this when it's done.
Okay, fantastic.
That's how it looks in the pot while the vegetable is steaming away.
Okay. Fantastic. It looks like an omelet already. Okay, Al, you want to jump in here and share with us your breakfast?
Okay, let me share my favorite breakfast for colon health. Aha, there it is. That's breakfast.
All right.
Of course, it's old-fashioned oatmeal, fast cooking variety. We add a little coconut flake. My wife liked the sweetened. I like the unsweetened. Add some berries, dried fruit. This is cranberry and raisins and cherries. Add additional raisins if you want, and cook it all up. Here it is, coconut and dried fruit. And then we add milk, a favorite, whatever your source of plant milk or regular milk. And then we top that with blueberries and blackberries, and sometimes we have strawberries, raspberries in it. So that's a nice topping there. And of course, we have our probiotics each morning. Shopping at Walmart, that's our budget style. And this turns out to be under $2 per meal here. So 3 times a week at least, and that keeps my colon healthy, functioning well. Thanks, Michael.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to give Don a little bit more time. So, Stephen, while Don is finishing up his, can you come off mute and let us see and hear you share? Probably if you took about maybe 3 to 5 minutes, somewhere in that range should be good. Maybe talk a little faster. But just really glad to have you on. Stephen is out in San Francisco, California. He has had a very interesting experience in the last several days. And Stephen, please, thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Hey, everyone. I apologize. I expected my laptop. I don't have my bullets like I wanted, but I went old school, pen and paper. And I'm just going to touch base real quick here on what worked for me. And that slide initially that showed the unhealthy colon, that was definitely my colon. And I was frantic trying to find a solution, feeling very bloated and horrible. Fatigue, all the things that have been mentioned. So, I started researching some things, and ultimately I found some items that were very helpful. I'm just going to list some different items that were beneficial, and y'all can pick and choose what works for you. One thing, got all organic items, flaxseed. There's meal out there and there's whole seeds. In my personal experience, I prefer the whole seeds. Meal kind of caused some complications for me. Whole hemp seed hearts, another good thing. I learned that beware of no shells, because the removal of the fiber can cause possible constipation, which kind of negated the effect I was looking for. Chai seeds, smoothies, using, again, fresh fruits, organics, organic blueberries, bananas, mixed berries, strawberries, pineapples, honey for sweetness. I stay away from the processed cane sugar. If I do use sugar, it's like sugar in the raw. And distilled water, definitely distilled water, I learned. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. That was the key ultimately for me. Going back to a pure solution, Michael mentioned just, drink lots and lots of water, give it time. I also used the time to ease my symptoms. As I was coming away from the store, Michael had me chew on some thyme that I accidentally got the fresh organic thyme, and I didn't get the powdered stuff. And so I was miserable. And I was on the phone with Michael, and all the brands are different out here on the West Coast, so I could not find the product per picture he gave me. So he had me chew it up, and within minutes, my stomach was better. So awesome. And then soaking in a hot bathtub, and again, water, hydrate, and time. Both herb and real-time passing. And that ultimately turned into a healthy colon. And I'm being totally honest here, within a matter of days, I went from that totally unhealthy colon to that picture of perfect health colon right in the middle of the scale. I almost wanted to photograph it, but that would be disgusting. So that ultimately is where I'm at. I also want to share benefit. I've had headaches every day of my life for over 20 years. And since my bowel has been clear, I have not had one headache. It's only been a few days, but that's pretty amazing because I've had a headache every day of my life. And I haven't had one since my bowel's been clear. So thank you all. Hope that's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, Stephen, you also have, what are you doing for your meals?
Sorry, I was trying to be quick. Meals, yes, meals. Totally changed my diet. I personally eliminated dairy altogether from my diet, which was a key component of my diet. And it's turned into just staying into the fresh organic stuff, being very selective in what I eat, a lot of fresh seafood, tuna, things of that nature, balance, and tea. But just trying to be hyper conscious of what I put in my body, reading the labels. And Mike also mentioned plastic, staying away from BPA stuff. So.
Thank you so very much. That was fantastic. And I know you're adding fruits and vegetables to your mix too, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so Don, I think you should be just about ready to come back.
I am back.
All right, fantastic.
So this is my omelet. Does it look like omelet?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it's a little darker than some omelets, but yeah, we've seen them like that.
So what's happening is the turmeric that I put in it.
Yeah.
So the turmeric sometimes give it this dark. So if I want it darker, I put a little bit more turmeric. If I don't want it that dark, I put less turmeric.
Okay.
And then I normally have it with a serving of fruit. And this is typically breakfast for me in the morning.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. You make me anxious to want to try that.
Trust me, it's delicious. I made it for my wife, and she was quite surprised because she was expecting a more. She said she was expecting a more of a wheat flavor, but because of the chickpeas, it really doesn't have that. It kind of takes on the flavor of whatever you season it with.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow. Well,
this is very healthy because the chickpeas, a lot of fiber. We have the turmeric, which is also good for inflammation. And we have the
flax seeds.
The flaxseed, which is also a lot of fiber and a lot of omega-6. So yeah, it's a pretty healthy mix right here. And this is typically what I eat with a serving of veggies. And the veggies are also in it as well, because I steam the veggies and I put it in and fold it into it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem.
Yeah, so,
this is my colon health breakfast.
Yes, sir. All right. Fascinating. Well, we're so thankful that we have people that are practicing and teaching and sharing. We'd love for anybody who is on the line and any people you know of that are doing things, bring them on to share. Our last segment is going to be the real narrative behind our love for healthy lifestyles. Dr. Danny Frederick is with us tonight. And looks like we'll probably just be a few minutes after our normal end time. Dr. Danny, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. Trying to get the ability to share this with everyone.
Sure.
All right. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Frederick. I'm originally from the Caribbean as well, so you will hear a brief accent. But I've been teaching here at the school, Hinsdale Academy, for at least 20 years now. And but I'm fascinated with health, but also I have my doctorate from Andrews Seminary. And so we're talking this evening about cleansing the soul. When it's all said and done, you know, we believe, according to the scriptures, that our bodies will be transformed. And we won't have to worry about some of the colon issues that we are dealing with. But as it is now, can we find a correlation to the cleansing of our colons, cleansing of our system, our bodies, and the cleansing of our souls? And this evening, real briefly, I want to start off with the babies, right? I believe that an infant's colon is almost perfect. What have they been chewing on for the past 9 months in their mother's womb? They haven't been chewing. The reality is, even when they are born, they're receiving their mother's milk. And so the Bible talks about how, you know, Paul says, we want you to go from drinking the milk, right, to eating the meat. But looking at the colon of that child, it just reminds me that children, also babies, what sin have they committed? They were born into this world of sin, certainly, but they haven't actually been tempted, right? So they're clean, they're pure, more so than anything. But then they get older, they become teens, they become young adults, and so there's some dangers there. Ecclesiastes tells us, remember our Creator, right, who created this body in the days of our youth. But sometimes as we get old, we become laissez-faire when we go out on our own. And so teenagers, young adults, you know, when they are on their own, they remembered what mom and dad used to make for them for breakfast, right? The oatmeal or the omelet from chickpeas. But now they're on their own, and we have this other problem. Do I have the time? Because preparing good meals, I believe, takes time. And so caring for the body will take time. And so these young adults, you know, maybe you remember the time when you were in college. It was pizza every night, it was ramen, it was fast food. And that seems to be the lifestyle because you're busy going. And then, of course, you become a middle-aged person. And the habits that you were practicing back in college and the early years of your maturity, well, it's coming back to resurface its head, right? You start to have more health complications. The things that your parents, right, were talking about, now you are experiencing them for yourself. But now we are the ones that are feeling the aches and the pains in our shoulders, in our backs. And I believe it all has to do, again, with our spiritual health as well. When we let our pet sins, right, take root, it's hard to excrete them after so many years of doing these things. Getting rid of these sins, however, will give us a new vibrance and energy when they're no longer in our system. And so let's get to the real matter. How do we excrete? How do we get rid of the evil? How do we get rid of sin? Psalm 77 verse 13 says, your way, God, is in the sanctuary. And so when you study the sanctuary, you'll see that this was the process of them eliminating sin from the camp and from their homes, from their families, from themselves. The what? Romans 12:1 says, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. So we bring our bodies into worship, and obviously that means what we put in, because then it goes down to our organs, right, to our colon. And we want our colons to be healthy, but we also want our souls to be healthy. And then this fascinated me, and I hope that you have the time to read Psalm 51 in its entirety. But listen to just the phrases that I've written down here, having to do with cleanliness or clean or pure, or what God wants to do for us. The psalmist says, wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, cleanse me from my sin, right? And again, think of colon here, right? Verse 6, you desire truth in the inward parts. Verse 7, purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me, blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart. Renew a steadfast spirit. So all those things I'm listening to, even thinking of the capsules that Serena showed us, those things help to clean and cleanse and wash the colon inside, and then restore to me, uphold me, deliver me from the guilt, do good, and then finally build the walls. And I thought of the structure of the colon, right? The walls that Al was talking about. Sometimes they agitate. You want them to be clean. Build those walls of the gut. And then coming to the end, we ask the question, when should we do this, right? When should we have a colon cleanse? When should we purify our colons? Well, now, right? Come now, let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be as wool. And so here I believe that God is saying, no matter what sin you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter how dark and desperate you've been called, right now, you can start making that change. And so for your colon, right now, you can start making that change as well. And so I end with this. You want to have a clean soul so that the blessings will flow freely, so that your prayers will be unhindered, and so that you can hear God's voice clearly, so that every supply of yours will be provided, so that you can prosper and be in good health, so that your enemies will be at peace with you. All these things can happen. But in the sanctuary, you understand that without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sin. If you have a colon issue, if you have a physical issue, I believe that dealing with the colon and going to find out some solutions will help to purify your body, your whole system. Get rid of those toxins. But I also believe that going to Christ and sitting at his feet, understand that he shed his blood so that we can be clean, we can be righteous, we can be whole again. That will make the difference. And so that's what I have for today, the cleansing of the soul. We need to do it, and we should start right now. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Dr. Frederick. It's really great to hear the connection between keeping our bodies clean and also our lives free from the sins in our life. Thank you so very much. We have a time for questions. I noticed there's a question about diverticulitis. Not sure exactly how to answer that. And then there was also a question in chat about the frequency of enemas. How, Al, I think you had mentioned something regarding not doing enemas too frequently. Is there a guideline that you might offer for that?
I don't have a specific guideline, but it comes from just the normal processes of sloughing off cells in 4 to 6 days.
Yes.
So the time for the new cells to regrow and be an effective covering for absorption and for adherence of the bacteria, if frequent enemas are used, the thinking is it can interrupt that process.
Mm-hmm.
So you might erode cells before they are mature to form an effective lining to the tube. I have no particular study or reference to share on that. It's just a reasoning with the normal cellular structure, knowing that outer layer of cells in the lumen sloughs off every 4 to 6 days.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, that's important. So there's another question. What about the smells? You mentioned methane and
hydrogen sulfide
and
as
hydrogen
the
sulfide, which is
culprit.
yeah, the real culprit. Yeah.
And of course, food contents with more sulfur would create more of that. So,
right. So onions and garlic and ginger.
Cruciferous, yeah.
And the cruciferous veggies also enhance the hydrogen sulfide.
Yeah.
So I don't know if getting away from the smell is making us healthier, but certainly we want to, get the digestion more complete, so we have less of that being produced.
Yeah.
But any other questions for any of our presenters tonight?
Just wanted to mention that biochemicals are tasteful, so the children won't.
Okay, so Fuchsia is mentioning here that the homeopathic remedies that we mentioned are pretty much tasteless. So using them with kids, they have a very slight, very mild sweet taste, very mild sweet. It's not sugar, there's nothing sweetened about it, but and I should have mentioned earlier too that the homeopathic remedies are not natural substances, they are native substances. These are the things that are already in your cells. And so when you're taking them, you're actually just adding more of what's already in your body. So there's no side effect, there's no impact. The cells already carry these substances. You may just be deficient, and they're smart. They know exactly where to go. Once you put it under your tongue, it knows exactly where to go to help fix the problems. So good. So it looks like we got all of your questions answered. Yes, for the children, right? Great for children, yeah. Okay. Well, folks, let's see. Thank you so very much for coming out tonight. We apologize for going a few minutes over. I hope that you have an experience of having learned some things that you can apply, and we will attempt to get recipes and get them posted in our Facebook page for you so you can actually follow through on those. But thanks again for joining us tonight. Next month, in February, we will be looking at cleansing the kidney and the liver specifically. And we'll be able to share with you the science and the strategies around that. So come, let us all decide and determine that tomorrow we're going to be healthier than we are today, every single day, because of our lifestyle and the choices that we're making. Brother Don, could you close us with prayer?
Yes, sir, we'll do. Let's pray.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you once again for your grace and your mercy that is new to us every day. Thank you for such an awesome opportunity where we could have come online tonight, oh God, and learn about our bodies. Not only did we figure out how to get our bodies clean, how to get our colon cleaned, oh God, but we were once reminded that, oh God, that thy way, oh Lord, is in the sanctuary. And ultimately, oh God, that's the cleansing that we want. We want a cleansing of the heart, a cleansing of the soul, a cleansing that can give us the assurance, knowing that when you put in your appearance, oh Father, that we will be assured that we be caught up to meet you in the earth. So thank you once again for such an awesome program this evening, oh God. And I pray that someone will leave here today, oh God, more informed to take care of their bodies, oh God, so that they could be better servants for you. Be with us like never before, Father. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, folks, thank you so much for coming out. Forward to seeing you in February, which will be the 8th of February. And come on out. We'll look at both the wellness of the body and the wellness of the soul, so that we're covering all the bases that are important for our lives. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Mike.